Bum, 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 bum. Turn up the lights in here, baby. Extra bright, I want y'all to see this. As y'all see, the playoffs are a month away, and that is the primetime anthem for when the playoffs, are in full effect. You know what I'm saying? I don't like Kanye now because, the dude is just absolutely psycho, but he was pretty good when he released that song. But I ain't gonna talk about Kanye West. Y'all can debate about him in the comment section below. What's up, guys? How y'all doing? So, I did promise that I was going to do my video on the Eastern Conference outlook, but because I had so much uploading issues with that video, I decided to push it back and kind of save it for the end of this month. I'll definitely make that video, or I'm definitely going to redo that video, and I'll try to make it as short as possible because the original one's like 25 minutes. I don't think y'all want to hear me yapping about how good or overrated these Eastern Conference teams are, whatever the hell have you. You know what I'm saying? I decided to go another route and talk about the Denver Nuggets because they've been the talk of the town recently, especially with their inconsistent play. As y'all should know, last year, the Denver Nuggets fired their head coach of 10 seasons, Mikey Malone, with 3 games left in the season, and they had David Edelman to take over the mantle as the Denver Nuggets head coach. And I didn't really expect them to get out of round 1. Obviously, if y'all see my series recap and playoff preview videos, I expected the Clippers to get out of that first round because they have who I thought was a better coach than Ty Lue. And I still think Ty Lue was a good coach. But David Edelman outcoached him, and he was able to help get his team into the second round. And obviously, the play of guys like Nikola Jokic and then that Aaron Gordon buzzer beater in Game 4 in Inglewood, it obviously was the turning point of that series alone. Now, they get to round 2 versus Oklahoma City. Yeah, they put up a really good fight, and they went up 2-1, and then they forced a Game 7, but ultimately was for naught because they got their asses whooped in Game 7 by SGA and the Oklahoma City Thunder in Oklahoma City. But everyone looked at that year as a promising year because, okay, David Edelman's an interim head coach, now he's going to be the main guy. He took us to a Game 7 versus the team that would eventually win the championship. They were close to at least being in the conference finals for, the second time in 3 seasons, because remember, they made the conference finals in 2023, and obviously they made the NBA finals that year, so everything looked promising. This past offseason, they added guys like Cam Johnson, Tim Hardaway Jr., they added Jonas Valanciunas, they got Bruce Brown back, and this was supposed to answer a lot of Denver's depth problems, because the last 2 years, they had to ride on guys like Julian Strawther, who's pretty good, and I think he's a pretty viable bench player as well. But in that 2023-24 season, they mainly leaned on guys like Reggie Jackson and Justin Holiday. Obviously, that didn't work out because they got eliminated in a Game 7 at home versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. And when the Denver front office made the signings for Bruce, Cam, Tim, and Jonas, it was supposed to answer all the questions about, who's going to spell Jokic some minutes, so that way he doesn't have to play the whole game for his team to have a chance to win. He'll have a viable amount of time to rest. Same thing with Jamal Murray. And in my offseason video, I explained how both the Denver Nuggets and the Atlanta Hawks won their respective offseasons with their signings. Obviously, I was wrong about those teams because, number one, the Atlanta Hawks traded their depth. They traded Luke Kennard and Kristaps Porzingis to different teams. Kristaps with the Warriors, Luke to my Lakers, and then they traded Trae Young to the Washington Wizards. And obviously, the Nuggets are not really a consistent team at all. But we'll get to that when we'll get to that. Going into the year, I expected the Denver Nuggets to be a top 3 seed in the West with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets. In fact, I had them at number 2 because I thought they were the second best team in the West. Obviously, the San Antonio Spurs, they had other plans, you know what I'm saying? But they were a top 3 team at the beginning of the year. They went exactly how my prediction was going. But right now, as of March 16th of 2025, March 16th of 2026, they are the number 5 seed in the West, but they are tied with Houston and the Minnesota Timberwolves because those 2 teams also have 41 wins each, and the Lakers have overtaken the number 3 slot at 42 wins. Now, granted, if the Nuggets get a couple more wins and the Lakers start dropping games, that could be subjected to change because we have 2 tough games against Houston, not only tonight, but on Wednesday night as well. If we drop both those games and Denver wins their next couple games, they could retake that number 3 seed. But that's neither here nor there. When it comes to the Denver Nuggets, they have been very inconsistent this year. Obviously, in this recent stretch of games, I witnessed them lose to a G League Warriors team, and they choked against Oklahoma City, and they were up 7 against my Lakers on Saturday night, but they ultimately choked that, and they had a chance to win it in overtime, but ultimately Luka absolutely cooked Spencer Jones for his game winner. Obviously, one of the things about the Nuggets is that they've been hit with the injury bug all year. Jokic has been out for a good amount of time. I talked about it in the 65 game video, where Jokic is only 1 game away from being ineligible for any type of end of season awards. And then you have injuries to Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson. Obviously, Aaron Gordon came back the other night against the Lakers and he played really well, but he's been injured for most of the year. And I think Peyton Watson is still out as well, so that is not helping them either. But one of the things on why the Nuggets have not been as good as I hoped they would be this season is because that they're very inconsistent in the clutch. They are 17-18 as of right now, and one of the reasons why they're inconsistent in the clutch is because their offense goes really stale. Half the time in these games I'm watching, bro, it's either Joker or Jamal or bust. Aaron Gordon as well, because it can be Aaron Gordon or bust, and I believe he truly is the second best player on the Nuggets, in my personal opinion, and that's not a shot at Jamal Murray. I just think Gordon has that ability to be Denver's second best player, you know what I mean? But when it comes to the Denver Nuggets offense, it gets really stale to a point where it's a Jokic ISO, a Jamal ISO, or just hope that, Aaron Gordon is open for 3 just off a drive and kick, you know what I mean? And that offense can be very easy to guard down the stretch. And sometimes it's bad defensive play calling as well. I was watching that Laker game, bruh. I don't know why the Nuggets were switching Jamal Murray onto Luka. What did y'all think was going to happen? Luka was going to drain a shot in Jamal's face. And then he had Spencer Jones guard Luka, which, yes, he is a rookie. But Bruce Brown was coming to double on his right. Spencer allowed Luka to drive baseline. What you don't do as a professional NBA player, when you're going up against an elite scorer like Luka, like Anthony Edwards, like SGA, like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who else? Who else? Jason Tatum. Why are you giving these guys the baseline? Jaylen Brown too. Jalen Brunson. Why are you giving these guys the baseline? You know they're going to attack baseline, and no shot Luka's going to hit the game winner right in your eye. It doesn't matter how great a defense you play. If you give them access to the baseline instead of forcing them into the help, it doesn't matter what type of defense you play. They're going to hit the shot 9 times out of 10. It also doesn't help on why David Adelman does not want to play Bruce Brown or Julian Strother whenever Jamal Murray's in foul trouble. Like, I watched that Laker game on Saturday night when Jamal fouled out. I was very surprised he didn't put Bruce Brown or Julian Strother in. I don't know if Strother was injured. I believe he was. But I don't know why he didn't put Bruce Brown, because usually when Bruce is in for Jamal, he can create plays off the bench. But he went with Tim Hardaway Jr., who, granted, he's a good shooter, but he's not a natural playmaker. That substitution made no sense for me. I understand from a spacing standpoint, but if that is your best substitution, especially when you need some decent shot creation outside of Jokic and Gordon, that substitution made 0 sense. And it definitely feels like, bro, from the games I watched, even with the quote-unquote great depth they have, it still feels like the issues from the past 2 seasons are arising this year. The over-reliance on Nikola, Jamal, or Aaron Gordon, it feels like those same problems are arising this year, and it doesn't make sense because their depth is supposed to be better than what they had the last 2 years when it came to guys like Reggie Jackson, Russell Westbrook, Justin Holiday, and all these other guys, bruh. And it also doesn't help that the Nuggets, for some reason, are not a great defensive team like they were the last 2-3 seasons, because that was mainly the Nuggets calling card. I'm going to read y'all an article from Nugs Live, which is one of the Nuggets fan pages. I always do this for every other video. But this kind of shines a lot of light on how bad the Nuggets have been in comparison to the last few years. So I'm reading this on nuglove.com. The turnovers are magnifying the broader issues at hand. The Nuggets' defense is bad. They are 24th in the league in defensive rating. They're having a hard time stopping the ball, and they are not getting any pressure. They are 29th in the league in steals, which is absolutely mind-blowing because Cam is a good defender, Bruce is a good defender, Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon are great defenders, and same with Peyton Watson. Every time you give the ball back, you dig a deeper hole. And when you don't stop them on defense, that hole can feel pretty deep. Now, mind you, that article was written on February 20th of this year, so maybe things are subjected to change, I guess. But those same problems that were written a month ago are still there. It was shown in the Oklahoma City game. in this article, they mentioned that Clippers game. I think it was like the night before that article was written or something like that. And it definitely showed during the Lakers game. So I really do not have a good feeling about Denver going into the postseason. Now, granted, it may not be all doom and gloom out here for the Denver Nuggets because they ain't been healthy all year. They've been having key players in and out of the lineup every other game, it feels like. So maybe when they get Peyton Watson back and they really start to ramp up for the playoffs, they might have the potential to go on a deep run. But as far as I'm concerned, they are still not a top West contender. And whatever matchup they face in the playoffs, let's say they face Houston, okay, maybe they might get out of that Houston series in round one should they match up in the playoffs. But mind y'all, it's going to be very, very hard for them to do so, mainly because of Houston's offensive firepower, especially when it comes to guys like Kevin Durant and Alfred Şengün. And the Houston Rockets have had problems of their own. And their main problem is that they ain't got a main ball distributor. They had a chance to get guys like James Harden and Russell Westbrook at the deadline. They ultimately said no. And now they're going to have to rely on guys like Amen Thompson and Reed Shepherd and Jabari Smith Jr. and Josh Okogie to be their main ball handlers. And it ain't the greatest thing for the Houston Rockets. And let's say they move up to number 3 or number 4, and then Minnesota moves up to number 5, or Minnesota stays at number 6 or something like that. Point is that we may get a Denver versus Minnesota first round matchup. I'm taking Minnesota in that scenario because, number one, Minnesota always has their number. And number two, it's not a great matchup for Denver anyway, despite their depth, because Minnesota can run them out of the building. And because of the fact that Cam Johnson's so inconsistent from 3, the Minnesota Timberwolves, especially with Ant-Man and Dante DiVincenzo and Naz Reid, they could take advantage of that. And plus, the reason why the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets in that round 2 series matchup in 2024 was not only Denver's lack of depth, but again, their offense ran stale, which caused Jamal Murray to take bad shots and Nikola Jokic taking like so many threes in that game 7. So that's not a great matchup for the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's not a great matchup for the Denver Nuggets. Now, they may have a decent chance against the Lakers in the playoffs. I hope not. As a Laker fan, I hope we finally beat them this time because I'm sick and tired of losing to this team. But I'm going to try to keep my bias out the way. They may have a better chance against us in round 1 than they would if they had to face Minnesota or Houston. And let's say they do get out of the first round. They're not beating San Antonio. They are not beating Oklahoma City. I don't care what anyone says. They are not beating either of those two in the second round, or if they somehow meet in the conference finals, in the conference finals. And one more thing before I let y'all go. I do personally believe, and I said this when the news first broke out, the Nuggets are going to regret firing Mike Malone. And obviously that wasn't the case. I thought, okay, maybe David Adelman can do some of the things that Mikey was able to do with this team. But it's the complete opposite. It feels like they used Mike Malone as the scapegoat. And when I upload my video talking about the Eastern Conference outlook, I said this with the Knicks. Or I'm going to say this with the Knicks when I address them in that video. Was David Adelman really the solution? Or was Mike Malone just a scapegoat for why Denver really never had a great roster since 2023? You know what I'm saying? And let me keep it a beam with y'all. He has not done a great job utilizing this roster's strengths because they should be better than 41-25. They should be a 50-win team, which they still could be, but they can't be a fringe, or this roster, I should say, should not be a fringe 50-win team. They should be up there with San Antonio and Oklahoma City. They should be a lot better. And I can say that about the Houston Rockets as well, and I'll make a video about them probably later on this month, if anything. But those are my thoughts about Denver. What do you guys think in the comments? Do you guys think me and a lot of NBA fans and Nuggets fans are overreacting? Do you guys think it's just the slump that they have is just a product of them being injured all the damn time and they had to have like multiple starting lineups this year? Or do you guys agree? Do you guys think they made a mistake firing Mike Malone? Whatever y'all thoughts about the Nuggets this year, just please leave it in the comments below. I was originally going to talk about the Detroit Pistons in this video, but I don't want to make this like a 20-minute video because I have a lot to say about Detroit, and plus I'm going to address them in the Eastern Conference Outlook. That video is going to be released later this month, so tune into all that. Series recap is coming soon, y'all. I am very excited to do Season 4. I am going to be doing a Zoom podcast. I'm probably going to try to invite some friends to make it interesting, so y'all just won't have to hear me rant and yap about basketball for 30 minutes by myself. I'll try to make it as entertaining because I'll be honest, some of y'all were pretty bored watching, just hearing series recap just for like 30 minutes with just me just spitting random facts that y'all don't care about. But we'll try to make it as fun as possible. But yeah, man, I'm very excited for the playoffs. Yeah, y'all have a good day. That's the end of this video. I'm X. Deuces.